Hello and good evening and welcome to the West Yorkshire Football Show. It's the instant match reaction for Watford 2, Leeds United 2 with myself, Stephen Brown, and also joining me as ever is Mr. Jason Booker. Well, does it almost feel like a victory, the fact that we've rescued a point from what was a pretty dismal performance from Leeds United, certainly first half. So much to get into. We've got obviously all the day's games that went on. Leicester losing, Ipswich going to the top of the league, Southampton dropping points as well. All set it up nicely for Leeds United tonight to reclaim top spot. It didn't happen. I mean, just a lot to dig through this evening, Jason. Your overall thoughts, how you feel now, just a few minutes after full time with it?
Look, I mean, first half we didn't play well. We had a lot of changes. There's a lot of moving kind of parts change. Even when one player comes in, it's not just like for like change. We were just talking before we came on air about the difference between Cooper and Ampadu and the drop-off and what one can offer over the other, the type of centre-back that Cooper is as opposed to the type of centre-back that Ampadu is. You're making all them changes and it makes a big impact on then what's on offer for the team. The internationals, Rodon, Ampadu and James, the amount of minutes that they played only a couple of days ago, Firpo coming back, like all these kind of things all kind of amalgamated into what we then saw out on the pitch. And it was a very disjointed first half. It didn't look like what we'd seen throughout 2024 at all. You then combine that together with Tom Cleverley's first home game. Watford fans buoyed after beating Birmingham last time out. They've got some good players as well, by the way. They are in a completely false position for me. Yeah. I thought the midfield three of Dele Bashiru, Kayembe, and the more attacking Aspria, that's it. Yeah, Aspria. Them three are class. They're really good players. And Emmanuel Dennis on his day at this level, especially, is a top player. So, like all that kind of combined, it turned into what we saw. And, as I'm sure we'll get into this, but as we saw throughout the day's games, this is not going to be no easy cakewalk for any of us. We're all up against it. Ipswich were very fortunate to come out with 3 points. They were lucky to come out with anything. Blackburn had 3 disallowed goals today, and they were really peppered. And it took a mistake from the Blackburn keeper for them to score. Leicester obviously lose earlier on. Southampton, they rode the looks at time. Middlesbrough at the post in the first half. I've watched all the games today. Football all day. And then, they concede in the last minute. So when you build the whole picture, is a point away at Watford the end of the world? It's just not.
No, it's not. It's not. No, absolutely. I think... obviously when you're watching the game, I mean, you know what I'm like when I'm watching. I'm terrible for kind of like how upset I get with it, to be honest. But I'm glad there's at least we can have a moment's kind of pause before we come on and kind of spout out. Because I think when you look at that, and I think if you look at how we started that game and how difficult it was for us. And I was worried when I saw Tom Cleverley's pre-match interview, actually, because I thought, damn, he sounds level-headed and actually sounds like, he's a kind of manager in waiting here. I thought he just kind of nailed his pre-match interview. I thought, he's going to be on it. And, they're really playing for him. They really came out of the blocks and this kind of legendary bad start that Watford have had all season. Of course, it's not going to be there now, is it? When they've had a new manager, new fresh impetus. I mean, we didn't get a kick of the ball for the first 15 minutes. I mean, we've seen this before. I mean, even Sheffield Wednesday recently, where we were just kind of holding back for the first half an hour in that game before we got going. So that was fine. You think, okay,
Watford played well, mate.
They did. They played well. They played really well. Really well.
I keep saying this because I see it all over social media. Like, it's all to do with us and what we do or don't do. And while part of that is true, that there's 2 teams in this game, and Watford really set about it in a real, the really good way. They targeted the left side, I thought, constantly. They didn't send much down Archie's side. They sent it all down Byram and Cooper's side. I'm sure we'll get into Cooper, but they targeted that. They targeted us in possession on Cooper's side. They funneled the ball to Cooper. The Watford, they were putting pressure on the right-hand side. Rodon's not used to having that much of the ball because usually Ampadu or Struijk does that. Just didn't work, and they were like, they were at it. So yeah,
it was a stressful watch, wasn't it? I mean, I don't know about you, but I was praying for half time at one point because I thought I can't watch this anymore because it really is like you're just waiting for your own execution because
it weren't good.
You know, we've seen it before where we've been on the back foot, like I mentioned, but we seem to get a grip, you know, and we kind of created one chance through Somerville, but I don't know. For me, it just looked like the setup of the team just did not work at all. It just felt very, very disjointed, even though it's same formation, a lot of the same players in the same roles, but there was just not that spark to it. But obviously the context to this is the fact that that's probably the most changed side we've had for a long time. Missing key players like Gruev, missing someone like Nonto, who's been outstanding recently. You've had to switch up that centre-back pairing, which obviously have not conceded from open play. And it just felt so disjointed. And like you say, there's another team playing it, a talented team as well. They were rejuvenated by a new manager. And before you know it, you kind of 1-0 down. I mean, when we got it back to 1-0, you think, right, here we go. Let's kick on now. But again, Watford just battered at the door, didn't they, really? You know, and we just couldn't get out.
You make the point about, like, you know, the players being in some of the same roles. As much as tactically or structurally it might not have worked out because of X, Y, and Z reason, some of the players just weren't at it either. You know, Ampadu goes back into central midfield, arguably his best position. He was miles off it. I thought it was awful first half. I thought it was really poor. You know, he was getting the ball under pressure and it was pinging off him and bouncing back. Kamara didn't have the best of games. He weren't finding them moments where he were slipping his shoulder and opening up space for us. I thought Pat was poor today. I thought he was really poor. Bouncing off him, knocking ball back in and giving it back to Watford, you know.
All the time, wasn't it? It was just
the only player that had a good 90 minutes tonight was Cree. He was the only spark, and even he held onto the ball too long, but he's going to always do that. But he was the only constant throughout the whole game. So I don't want to get too hung up on. Tactically, it was this. There was a lot of players having an off night. And then you throw in, I think that the situation with Cooper and Ampadu is so big for the way that we build up. And then Gruev then in front of Ampadu as well. That is massive to us. It ended up making more of an impact than I thought it would have done pre-game. I thought we'd have dealt with it all right. But we just didn't. We did, and some of that was because of what Watford did to combat our deficiencies in that then, you know?
Yeah. No, absolutely not. Guys, if you watch on, please do smash a like on the video. Get your comments in as well. Subscribe to the channel. Paul G, all the fans in Meltdown online. Main takeaways, keep Ampadu in defence. This is why I don't tweet when I'm watching the game live, because I always tweet something that I end up regretting.
A friend of mine in another group, Browney, were like, oh, that was 2 hours of my life that I wasted. And I was like, will you get a grip? Like, we've drawn 2-2. Like, you can't just be there when you win all the time. No, let's just have a rain check on this. We're now in April, or we will be going into this coming week, and we've not lost this calendar year. We've dropped points in 2 games, 2 away games. Get a grip. Get a grip. I know it's pressurized. I know it's stressful. I know we all want to go up and win the league and blah blah blah. Facts are is that it's tough, man, to keep on winning these games, game after game. You know, Gio is our most influential player. He had a hernia operation 4 or 5 days ago, or whatever it was. The start of the international break, 10 days ago, whatever. But he came back into full training on Wednesday. Like, come on. Like, we've managed to get out of hospital.
That was me. Yeah. God, I'd still be like banged up at home or in
I'm playing Football Manager, like, leave me alone, operation, like, no.
Exactly, I'll see you next season. This is the thing as well, you know, and I feel, you know, when you have a fan channel, when you're getting people watching along, you know, I guess we always try and be reasonable about this. I would like to think we try, because last season, go watch our streams from the Premier League last season, and we slated everything about the team, the club, you know, because it warranted it, because we were awful. But you're not gonna come on and you know,
poor result, or not even a poor result, but certainly, not a great performance. You can't just lay into them and it's, set it all on fire and burn it. It's just that would be ridiculous. Now, I will burn it all down in the group chats and whatever. I will, when I'm messaging people in the heat of the moment privately, I will do that, but I'm not going to put that out online. I'm going to try and be more reasonable.
Browney, on the face of it, we've outperformed in terms of result. We've outperformed 2 out of the 3 main competitors in the promotion hunt. Southampton drawing at home against Middlesbrough is not the same as us drawing away at Watford. It's not. Yeah. Our result's better than that, unless we obviously went to Bristol and lost. So let's just keep us heads. Hull are in a playoff battle of their own. They go and lose 2-0 at home today. Yeah. Cardiff took a point. Millwall took a point against West Brom. Yeah. These results are happening all over the place. So let's just chill.
Everyone's got something to fight for, haven't they, in the Championship? It feels like very few teams are not in the playoff hunt or the relegation battle at the moment. All right, Watford aren't in either really, but new manager situation, new manager coming in, and he's hungry to get that job permanently, improve himself.
And if you can keep a team off the beach mentality-wise, that's got nothing to play for, that's a very, very dangerous opposition because they've got no risk. They can push forward and take risks that they wouldn't have been able to take if they had a relegation battle or a promotion battle we're going for. For me, Watford today was almost the kind of mixing pot of a problem for us. And because I think they're a really good side. I actually think they've got some really, really good players. They should be in and amongst the Norwich Hull kind of battle that's going on right now. And we all know what a basket case club Watford is. But they do have some talent. So look.
Yeah. No, exactly. Let's get into performances. Let's get into the Cooper thing as well, because when it was announced, obviously he was playing. I think there was a lot of comments. And I'm going to hold my hands up and say, look, I thought, okay, let's see how we're going. Because let's assess, who Cooper is now as a player. Obviously he's been captain of the club for years, a fantastic presence off the field and on the field, and he's been a really, truly great servant. He would not have played as many games for Marcelo Bielsa that he did if he wasn't that. I think the Cooper that we see now and the type of team we are, you saw that fluidity disappear from the centre-back partnership, really. And like you say, balls into him, that you can see the other players just have that little less trust. Yeah. Rodon's trying to cover and, all these kind of things. I mean, he gets twisted inside and out for their second goal. He's nowhere near it. As soon as he went off, actually, it suddenly felt we had a bit more control. Now, you could argue that's
game state
off. Yeah, game state, totally. But I don't know, it just suddenly felt, it's a bit more kind of solid back there. I mean, some wild takes I'm seeing on what people are saying about Cooper online. I think it's kind of, some of it goes too far, to be honest. But I mean, for me going forward, I mean, what choice did Farke have? I mean, we were chatting about this earlier. I was thinking that maybe do you start Gray in midfield with Kamara? And do you bring Shaq in at right back and keep Ampadu and Rodon together? Now, question marks about Gray and Kamara, is that a suitable partnership, etc.? I mean, for me, I thought Archie was wasted at right back tonight, actually. I thought it was, I get it and he's done well there, but, we are missing something from him when he's not in midfield a little bit. And I know he's not played there too often from us, but you get where I'm coming from. There were a moment I think it was the first half where Archie showed that bit of composure that he does, and he knocked a really clever ball that split the defence up, and we got a really good chance from it. It might be the second half. Yeah, second half that. I was like, I want to see a bit more of that, but he's not going to be able to do that as much from right back. So I just wonder if maybe the team got shuffled and it should have been something like that, possibly. I don't know, though.
My opinion on it, because this is dead easy in hindsight to say, we should have done this because the game didn't go the way that we wanted it to go, right? Yeah. Now, we've just commented on how good that midfield was for Watford. The three of them, I thought, won the game. And that was against Ampadu and Kamara, who were arguably more suited to playing together, right? How bad could it have been if Gray and Kamara were in there? Because as much as I know that Gray is energetic, he's not combative. He's not that kind of defensive ball-winning centre midfielder. You'd have had Graham Kamara looking for the same things. And I just think defensively would have just got picked apart. I don't like, especially away from home, I really don't like the idea of that. Personally. And even in hindsight, I still won't go with that. Go on, I'll let you say what you're going to say.
No, I was just going to say though, but couldn't you, what I kind of envisage for that though is then you've got Ampadu back as a centre-back, but he almost can become that DM at times in the game. He can like push into that space.
With the ball.
Yeah.
But without the ball, you can't do that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because then you leave yourself open with just Rodon in behind. So I hear you, but for me, I don't think he had another choice given the availability of players that we had tonight. I think there would even be a case that you'd maybe look at Byram at centre-back. Byram's played centre-back, but Firpo wasn't fit to play 90 minutes. That were a big problem as well. I mean, Firpo made such a difference when he came on. And just having that outlet and the natural left-sided, left-footed and all the rest of it. When I saw the team, it made sense to me. I thought Gio, you know, if he's fit, he plays. He did. I didn't think he was good tonight, and I thought he struggled through the game. I texted you and I said, in hindsight, I wish he'd not started because for the 60, 70 minutes that we got out of him, it would have waste. Would have been better letting him rest and play Monday or play the last 20 minutes of tonight to make a difference because he had no impact at all, I didn't think, today. And some of that was the team performance. Some of that I thought was him. So, you know, we didn't feed Creed particularly well, but he still managed to make things happen because that's what them kind of players do. Gio usually does it, you know, week in, week out. Tonight, he just looked like he wasn't fully at it. But yeah, coming back to this Cooper situation, you're absolutely spot on that it changes so much. You know, I made the point when we were chatting beforehand about Rodon nodding one down to Ampadu after Ampadu had been alongside him about, 90 seconds after Cooper had come off.
Yeah.
And I don't think he'd have done that 90 seconds earlier if Cooper had been alongside him because he wouldn't have had the trust in Cooper to be able to deal with the ball that he was bringing down to him. The goal that Dennis scores, it's a great goal by Dennis, but he twists Cooper inside out and then Rodon is out of position because he's trying to cover for Cooper. So then Rodon's not in his natural right centre-back position because if he was, he'd have actually blocked the shot probably anyway, coming the other way. So it pulls all sorts of different situations. I don't know what he's doing for the first goal. He rushes to go back towards the goal line because he doesn't trust himself to mark the man. If he just marks the man and let Meslier does his job, because Meslier makes a great save, by the way.
Yeah, he does.
He then blocks the second chance. So, look, Cooper is a third or fourth choice centre-back in our squad. He's barely played this season. When he has played, he's been okay. He's been okay. With the exception of Southampton away, I can't think of Cooper having a bad game this season.
No,
right?
Can't.
So we can't jump all over it when Farke needs to use his squad. You know, like it.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, we had injuries that meant that our third or fourth choice centre back needed to start. You don't start Cresswell. No way do you start. I don't know if you were going to just say that, but no chance in hell for me do you start Cresswell tonight.
I was just thinking with Farke taking Cooper off midway through that second half, is that a kind of acknowledgement from Farke that this is possibly not worked and it's not the game for Cooper in terms of, because I mean he could have just done a kind of like for like at left back or whatever, couldn't he, and just taken Byram off and stuck Firpo on and left Ampadu in midfield. Is it kind of, you know, I mean maybe possibly is wanting Ampadu, you know, why bring Ampadu back unless you kind of go, oh yeah, actually.
I don't see it like that because when Firpo then he's going to play the last 20 minutes or whatever it was, last 25 minutes, you have got the players out there on the pitch to adjust that and make us balanced, because at that change we were trying to chase the game, we're a goal behind. Putting Archie and Kamara alongside each other is more productive at that stage of the game than it would have been at 0-0 at minute 0. Yeah. So, you know, the changes made a lot of sense. Byram to right back, Firpo to left back, Ampadu in at left centre back. And then you put Archie in midfield, a bit more progressive, a bit more attacking than Ampadu. So I don't think so. I think if I would expect that Firpo will come back in on Monday and Ampadu will be alongside Rodon. But if Ampadu just picked up an injury overnight, let's say, I would imagine that Cooper would start left centre back. Yeah. That's a possibility, isn't it? Yeah.
LUFC, Rutter should not have played 2 weeks after surgery. Gale, Ampadu back with Rodon was what was needed. And Somerville was fab, which was needed as well. I mean, this is the thing. The other thing that I think we need to say as well is, look, we can be critical about performance, and it doesn't mean we're flushing the whole season down the toilet or anything. We've got to say that first half was shocking. It just was. You just watch it and it was awful. But it doesn't mean we're flushing the toilet down the season or they're bad players or anything like that. So it just didn't get going. I think you've got to look at the context of it. I mean, for me, it's disappointing to hear that Nonto's out for 2 or 3 weeks. And is it Gruev as well who was saying that's out for 2 or 3 weeks? Roberts, sorry, yeah. For me, a huge miss was Gruev. I really feel like
makes a massive difference, doesn't it?
Yeah, that tempo setting in the control and the passes that he sees and the way he can dictate play from that point. I thought that was a huge miss.
I think the balance of the left and the right foot makes a big difference too. I think it's really underestimated how important that is in that area, because you don't have long to play them passes, and it feels more fluid and natural.
Yeah, no, indeed. Comment on Rutter, because I thought Rutter, I mean, there were a couple of moments where he did a couple of nice. I know what you mean. It wasn't a typical Rutter performance. I think one of the problems you have is what you do in that number 10 role if he's not available, because, I mean, Pirro's come on tonight and, I mean, the lack of impact he had. I mean, I think Graham Smythe from YEP described it as kind of trampoline feet. It was just pinging off him. There was one moment actually where I think he had it on the edge of the box, and I mean, it just got away from him, and you're just kind of thinking, what is going on? Like, this guy, this is your moment, this is your opportunity, and it's a bit of a headache, isn't it? When, is Farke lose a bit of trust in him? I mean, I was a little bit surprised Pirro didn't start tonight, actually. I thought I could have seen him giving him that opportunity, but I don't know. I think he's really, I think he's really off it. Is Pirro?
I text you, didn't I, and said, "What's going on? Like, he's got his boots on the wrong feet. Like, when he came on, literally his first 3 or 4 touches were horrific. Like, you would expect an amateur player to be able to, make better first touches. I agree with you. I think if he has more trust in Pirro, I think he starts tonight and Gio's on the bench. I said to you, if Nonto were fit, I think he starts in the 10 and Gio would have been on the bench. I don't think he trusts Pirro at the moment, which is a shame. But again, it's a bit like the Cooper chat. The facts is they are who they are, and right now they don't fit the system. They don't fit the way that we're playing. No. So yeah, it's a tough one. I'd still back him to, if there were a chance in front of goal and there was a strike on goal, I would probably still pick Pirro, maybe with the exception of Somerville. I don't know. Like, I still think he's arguably the best finisher at the club. But right now, everything else aside from that is just awful to watch. Bless it. I feel a bit sorry for him. I do. I feel a bit sorry for him. He's clearly a talented player, but we just don't play to his strengths.
Yeah, well, it feels like he was brought in as kind of the main man, the big signing. And he started every game, for whatever, first 3 or 4 months of the season. And then he's lost his place and he's just kind of disappearing down the ranks, slowly. I just feel like you get more impact as well from the others. Like Joseph came on tonight and he's bright and he's spark. He's putting himself about. Obviously, gets a goal. Even Jadon Anthony, I thought looked bright when he came on.
Scored, that would have gone. The roof would have gone off, man.
I know.
I don't know how he didn't go in.
No, it was brutal, wasn't it? Brutal. I mean, on the positive side, I mean, Crees Somerville, I mean, let's have a little talk about Crees' game, because he was the one actually in the build-up. I was thinking we need a performance from Somerville tonight. We need him to be at his best, and certainly at his best in front of goal, which is not necessarily been quite at it in front of goal quite recently. But, I mean, that goal, Jason, that finish, I mean, offside or not, but it was just outstanding, wasn't it?
It was literally post-it note, wasn't it, in the corner? Like, it couldn't have been any more in the corner. I think Daniel Backman's a quality keeper at this level, by the way. Makes a top save from Cree earlier on in the half. Wonderful finish, mate. I thought Cree were brilliant today. I'm a bit of a critic of Cree. I recognise just how good he is, but he frustrates the hell out of me when he's he just holds onto the ball too long, but he was unplayable at times tonight. He had the right back in absolute knots. I mean, the assist for Joseph, I know he won't go down as an assist because it kind of bobbles and then Joseph kind of gets it back, doesn't he? But it was just, I mean, he took it on the outside. He had him so scared that he was going to cut in on his right foot to take the shot that they were letting him go to the byline. So he was like, right, I'll go to the byline then. And he was just ragging him a bit. And Firpo makes a beautiful little step over. And so allow it to go into Joseph. It was a great goal. He has a chance a bit earlier than that, and he should pass it. I'm like, Creed, just pass it. The one where he hits it with the outside of his foot back and makes the save at his near post. Release the ball, man.
That's what it's like with him, though. Sometimes he dribbles himself into a hole, doesn't he? He's like, he's got no teammates around him, and you're like, come on.
Gio's exactly the same. But that comes with these kind of players. They'll do that from time to time, and then they'll come up with the moments of brilliance. I thought it was excellent tonight, all game. His work rate was brilliant. He's been carrying a bit of an injury for a period of time as well. The rest was probably excellent for him. I've seen pictures of him. He'd gone abroad, had a rest, relaxed himself. Like, he's played a lot of football. This is his first real season of every single game. And, we know he's been playing with a bit of a knock, probably from before the Huddersfield game, I think it was, wasn't it? So, great performance, mate. Well-deserved man of the match.
Yeah, absolutely. Can I say, by the way, it was irritating the hell out of me about, and our own players as well, Leeds players as well, people getting a slight knock and going down as if they've been shot. Honestly, I don't think I've ever seen it as bad as tonight. It was driving me insane. There was a bit in the first half for about 20 minutes where it stop, start, because players were being absolutely pathetic. I'm like, please knock that on the head. Like, for me as well, a couple of times with the Leeds players, I've got to say, it was like they lost the ball in dangerous areas. Oh, right, I'll throw myself to the ground and try and look like try and get something. It's like, no, you screwed up. Get back on your feet and get back and defend, for God's sake.
It was bad. It was really bad.
Insane.
Yeah, but the officials need to do more to deal with it. They just need to be like, nah, I'm not having it. You've gone down too easy. It's no free kick. Carry on playing. But the rules wrap these players in cotton wool because all they have to do is hold the head, and then it's they have to stop the game. It's nonsense, mate. Absolutely nonsense.
No, exactly. A couple of performances to get on. You mentioned an interesting one for me tonight is Bamford, who I think has been in superb form. Didn't happen for him tonight. I think some of the layoffs, etc., were not great. I do think we gave him nothing though tonight.
No, we
didn't provide him one chance.
Yeah,
he's a striker. We did not give him one chance. So I do have sympathy when you touch the ball 4 times in an hour. And it's a lot of pressure, isn't it, on those touches? I thought we just didn't supply him tonight. But again, it's one of those. It's it's not quite happened for him tonight. But hopefully, another few days. I don't think he should be dropped or anything like that. But it's just one frustrating one, wasn't it? When it sometimes the ball would go into him a decent position and the layoff's just short for someone else, and you're thinking, oh, come on. It was one of those nights, though. It was just one of those games where it was just like so many things were just off, and you're just like, oh, pulling my hair out. Did you think we were going to get back into it when we'd gone down?
I think you're spot on with that. I mean, I'm just seeing a post here to my side. Graham Smythe talking about how poor the performance was, and somebody commented back to him, "You can dig Cooper out, it's okay." And then he responds back saying, "Certainly could do because he hasn't been good." But then I'd also have to talk about Byram and Bamford being anonymous, Ampadu looking like a tired ghost. Where is Kamara? Rutter not making it stick. Gray not finding passes. Like I said, very few playing well. And I think that pretty much sums it up. I think you can start picking Bamford apart if you want. But it's linked to the whole performance and Watford's performance too. I don't watch the game much this season thinking we're not going to get back into this. We're not going to get back into this. I don't think there's been many games that I felt like that. I remember losing. The last game that we lost 1-0. Were it maybe West Brom away? I think it was not the Preston game, because the Preston game we were down to 10 men. I think it was the West Brom game. When we lost down there, we kind of had a lot of the ball second half, but we did nothing with it.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like that today. We were still creating chances, we were still creating moments. It still felt like we'd get a moment, and we did, and then after that, Jadon Anthony has a great chance to win the game.
Yeah.
So, like, the second half was all Leeds. I'd have liked to have seen us speed it up, but we did have a lot of players that were either carrying injuries, not fully at it, not fully rested. So it's a tricky one. It's a real tricky one.
It is hard not to resent this international break, though, isn't it? I mean, because you're just looking at it going, we had that unbelievable streak of games. We only one game where we didn't win, and the Welsh boys have played 120 minutes. Dan James has got this kind of thing hanging over him that he missed the vital penalty. I mean, just on James, what did you think of him tonight?
6 out of 10. I thought he didn't really have much, really. He didn't have his best game. Defended and covered well down that side, I thought, where it was needed. And I like to have seen him push the ball out of his feet and get past his man a little bit more. But Jamal Lewis is quite a fast fullback, so he dealt with James quite well, I thought, overall. I think you're right on this international break thing. I think if we could have just put this down to Ampadu and Rodon having an off night because the Welsh lads had 120 minutes, I think you can kind of say, you know what, it were an international qualifier, fair enough. But two of our biggest misses tonight were Nonto and Gruev, and they both played in nonsense games at a vital stage in the season where their clubs have got 8 games left to go and they're in a promotion hunt. So. It is frustrating, mate. It's definitely frustrating. But Watford had 6 players that went away on international duty as well.
Interesting post-match comments here from Fak. I'm just getting up from Phil here. He says, "I tell you what, I'll take this point all day long. I'm really, really happy. I didn't want to speak like this before the game, but we played it at worst possible moment. Watford, a new manager, new belief for us. The break was the worst outcome." Farker says that he feels the lack of proper training time in the break affected Leeds. We had to play this game by pressing the button. Not one training session with the whole team. You could feel this in the first half. We were not at our best.
He's spitting absolute facts there. Some fans will be like, I'm making excuses. That is just the truth. That is just the absolute reality of this. We know Junior Firpo didn't get back until late Thursday, maybe even this morning. Ampadu Rodon played 120 minutes. James played a fair chunk of that game and missed the penalty. Gruev ends up getting injured, And he's right. Like, the situation with Watford, while they've not got much to play for in the league, their manager is on audition, basically. He's basically interviewing for the job. At home, after winning their first game under Cleverley, it's an awful time to kind of play that for Leeds, and we've managed to come away with it with a point. He said this weeks ago that if you can take points away from home and win all your own games, you'll get promoted, and we've taken another point.
Absolutely. And it'll all change again Monday. It'll change again Monday because Ipswich and Southampton playing each other. That's going to be a tough game both ways.
Right now, we're looking at the league and be like, we've kind of surrendered the control, right? Ipswich are a point in front of us, Leicester a point behind, but with a game in hand. So technically, if we all win as games, they would go up, right? But the fact is we're going to have other weekends just like this one. We're going to have probably several between now and the end of the season. This weekend with the 4 teams basically sums up the championship and how this running could well go. They're all good. There's going to be loads of banana skins. Ipswich didn't really deserve to win. I said that earlier on. They arguably deserve to lose that game today. And if they had have done, if they'd have, Blackburn had scored one of the 3 disallowed goals, we'd have been looking at a situation where all 4 teams didn't win.
Yeah.
That's just a championship. So, Monday, Ipswich versus Southampton, one of them's going to drop points.
Are you a bit worried about Monday? I mean, Farker, just to finish up on his comments, he says if training didn't matter, we'd just show up to the game. Training matters. It makes a big difference. We needed to come into our rhythm. Are you a little bit concerned for what kind of state we'll be in Monday then? Because I don't know what tomorrow's going to be recovery. You've got Sunday. I mean, do you do anything? I mean, what is that preparation going to be like for such a quick turnaround, or does the fact that they've played a game actually going to help get a bit of rhythm? I mean, it's a bit of a tricky one, isn't it?
What I will say to that is that I think his point is that that wasn't the case for all the other teams.
Yeah.
So, like, while Watford might have only had 6 players out, they had still the majority of their team were in training for the last 2 weeks, right? Whereas we had 6 first teamers available to train in this period. So going into Monday's game, nobody's going to have been able to train Saturday, Sunday. So we're kind of all going into Monday with the exact same situation. I hear you, though. I definitely think you've got a point that there can't be a huge difference. I think at home, that makes a bit of a difference for us. And Hull are coming off the back of a loss as well. You know, so I don't know. I just think it's another game, mate. I think at this stage of the season, 7 games to go, the Championship is so ruthless. It's just another game where we have to do what we can on the day to win that game.
Can I just say what I'm not looking forward to, though? The Coventry game next weekend.
Is that next weekend?
Yeah, I'm like, oh, Coventry away. Coventry away. I'm like, oh, like, because I was looking through the games, I think, you know, we were supposed to have the best running, but I mean, you know, it's just, does that exist in the Championship? It does. I mean, we've still got Sunderland, Middlesbrough, Hull, obviously we've got Southampton. You know, it's so hard for everyone, isn't it, really?
You can make pictures or stories for all the games, mate. You know, Bristol City on the beach, you know, and they go and beat Leicester today. Middlesbrough on the beach, go and get a last minute equaliser. You know, and their fans will be making their own versions of what we're just saying about these games now. You know, it's a Championship. I would say, with the exception of Rotherham, every single game is a bit of a challenge. The quality difference is massive in terms of out and out quality, but when it comes to 90 minutes of football, you know, they've got enough in the tanks to make these games competitive. So if you're at all off it, they'll take the opportunity. You know, these players are in the shop window a little bit now as well. You know, especially when they're on the beach, or they're in these teams that are on the beach. They're looking at potentially getting picked up by somebody that's going to go for promotion next season. You know, they're trying to express themselves. You know, they're playing with, like I said, a bit more of a relaxed attitude. It can work one or two ways sometimes.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Arthur bringing up here, I like Jose if he can score 2 goals against Chelsea in the box today, gets stuck in, gets a goal. Matteo Joseph, Jason, is it time to see a little bit more of him, do you think? I mean, you know, again, how do you crowbar him in? We know what system Farker wants. And, you know, for me, Bamford's playing well. Maybe tonight's an exception. But it feels like with Joseph, it's almost like, is he going to be the next Somerville, you know, that one to kind of emerge? You know, it almost looks to me like he's ready for more. I think when I watch him now, I feel like when I saw him before, even at the start of this season and previously, I thought he's kind of, you know, a bit ineffectual, but now he looks looks ready for me, Jason, for a bit more. But I'm not saying to drop Bamford or anything, but I just think, you know, I'd like to see him get more than 8 minutes at the end of the game. You know?
I couldn't agree with you more. He definitely looks like he's ready to play games. But at this stage of the season is not the time to be doing it. If he was at this stage now on game week 1, I'd be saying you can get away with starting him. You could honestly start him, or you could see him for 30 minutes, you know, whatever, changing the game at half time if we're in a bad spot or whatever. I could genuinely see that. But right now, Pat is, you know, with the exception of today, is in good form. He is very experienced and he offers us a lot. You know, we've spoken so much recently about how much difference he makes to the way that the team plays. You know, Joseph coming in and affecting a game for 10, 15 minutes is very different to doing it from the start of the game. Fans will then say to me, well, look at what he did against Chelsea. I hear that. But that is still not week in, week out in the league. That is very different in a one-off cup competition situation, right? So for me, I agree with you, everything that you said, but I still wouldn't be clamouring to start him. I've seen people, like, the team picks itself on Monday Joseph as number 9. Like, honestly, like, get your head screwed on. Like, it's nuts. It is honestly nuts, some of the takes. But I agree with you.
Time to promote Harry Gray up to the first.
Get Lewis Bay back from MK Dons. Get him in there as well.
Apparently, Gruev does have a chance to face Hull. He's got a bit of swelling, apparently. So if that subsides, he might be in. And I don't
want to see Ampadu start in midfield on Monday.
No.
Regardless of what we have to do, even though I'm kind of going against what I said earlier, and I understand the reasons for it, and I think Cooper at home is a bit different to Cooper away.
Yeah.
But Hull have 4 really fast, nippy, attacking, creative players. I don't want to see Cooper doing his spinneroonie against them 4. I really don't. Just put the defence back together the way it was. Firpo, Ampadu, Rodon, and Gray, and then do whatever you need to do in that midfield to make it work. Or Byram at right back. I still don't want to see Gray and Kamara together. I don't. But then go again. If Gruev's not fit, what do you do?
Yeah.
So,
I mean, for you, I think it's a great point as well when you look at Hull's attacking positions there. I mean, I don't want to see Cooper starting centre back against Hull. I'm less worried about it being because it's at home. I am less worried because it's at home. I don't think I want to see him starting, again going forward. Because you've got this Rodon and Ampadu partnership as well. If we were still a bit disjointed at the back or whatever, and maybe fine. And like you say, Cooper's not had bad games this season. He's not had bad games this season. He's rock solid every time he's come in, barring a couple of times. It's a tricky one, isn't it? It's a bit of a conundrum. York, what's your main issue then with Gray and Kamara? I mean, you've said it's because Gray doesn't put his foot in, you're lacking a bit of kind of the more defensive side of it. Do you think if Gray's in there?
I don't think it's that he doesn't put his foot in. I think Archie Gray's actually really good in the tackle, but he's just not. He's not a defensive midfielder. And I think when you've got Kamara, who is completely not a defensive midfielder, I think they're too similar. I think they'll look for the same spaces. I think they'll look to do the same things. I think they'll look to both progress the ball into the same areas or progress themselves into the same areas. And I think going back the other way, because bear in mind that we play a 10 in Gio, who's really an out-and-out attacker. He's not a 10 that'll drop in like Asprilla did for Watford today. He just leaves us so vulnerable in that area for me. That is not what I'd be looking to do. I think fans would get a big shock if they saw that. Neither of them are particularly good on the left foot either, whereas Ampadu is and Gruev is obviously left-footed. And I think then you end up funneling the ball a certain way all the time. So not for me. I think it has to be Gray or Kamara and Ampadu or Gruev. Just the same as when we saw Gruev and Kamara play together, Gruev and Ampadu play together. That didn't work because they're too similar.
Yeah. It's a fine balance, isn't it? Fine balance you got to strike there. Going into the game against Hull, what do you want to see? Do you want to see that tempo at the start? Do you want to see us get that control back? I mean, for me, I want to see us, in control. I want to see us sharp from the first minute. It's at home, so there's a strong emphasis, and I feel like there's a little bit of a bounce back we've got to do after tonight. Even though we haven't lost, I think it's it's important to go and do the business really, because I think we would have probably been happy with 4 points, wouldn't we? We would have said
I would have done
from this Easter bank holiday, definitely.
Yeah, 100%. I think Hull will come right at us. I think they will be all over us early. In terms of the press and the push, and we're going to really have to deal with that early on. Sure, we need to be quicker, we need to pick the pace up, but ultimately, and this sounds very simple, we need to have more of the players playing individually better than they did tonight, because there were so many off performances tonight. It doesn't always have to be about getting the tactics wrong. I don't think there was anything tactically that stood out tonight that we didn't do well that cost us the game. You can argue Cooper being in there over Ampadu and all the rest of it, but that's not tactical. That's personnel again. And then when you look at the how Ampadu looked after the ball, how Bamford looked after the ball, what Gio did with it. You look at all these. They're all individuals, so you have to look at that. It's not always Daniel Farke's fault. You can pick up the fact that he maybe didn't make the subs as early as what he should, or whatever, or he picked Cooper. The fact that you can argue that he picked Cooper in the first place, fine, have that argument. I would argue back that what other choice did he have, really, when you really think about it. But just better individual performances, mate. And I would expect us to go and get 3 points at home, as they always do. I thought we'd win tonight. Watford were better than what I expected. We were worse than what I expected. And we still managed to come out of it with a point from a losing position.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Let's have a look at the table then and see where we're at with things.
It's exciting, this. Look at this.
It's crazy, isn't it? I mean, because I know Arthur, in the comments you've been saying Southampton are out of it, but, they've got a couple of games in hand of Southampton. If they win both the games in hand, who knows? This crazy league, who knows? Can you imagine if Southampton turned it around and got automatic? I mean, they're not out of it. It can happen, can't it? They're
not out of it. If they win them 2 games in hand, they're on 80. So if they were on 80, you wouldn't say they're out of it. Now, points on the board over games in hand all day, every day. All day, every day. We've seen that with Leicester today. But Southampton not out of it. They've got too much quality to be considered out of it. I think Monday is massive for them. Massive. They have to win that game. If they come out of that game without winning, I would probably then maybe even agree with Arthur, because you're then talking about a situation where they've lost the opportunity to take 3 points off one of their rivals. And their rivals have then either stayed the same or grown the distance. I don't know about you, Brown, interested to kind of get your take on this, but I would take a Southampton win there. 100%. If I could pick it now,
100%.
Before kick-off today, I was thinking I want them to draw that game. But I expected Southampton to beat Middlesbrough. Now that they've not, I want Southampton to win that game, because then that drops, obviously, Ipswich another 3 points, and Ipswich are at home. They will look at all their home games and think, win, 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 win. So for me, I'll be supporting Southampton on Monday.
Oh, 100%. What time is that, the Southampton?
It's 4 hours. 5:30 before hours.
5:30 before hours. I absolutely am. I am rooting for Southampton in that game. I absolutely am, honestly, because if anything to peg back Ipswich, who, I mean, we've said it numerous times in this podcast, but I mean, a remarkable season they're having, a remarkable achievement. I know we've said about lucky goals and everything, but it's extraordinary, isn't it? I mean, what an achievement for them to even be in this position, to have got to first place outright after only being in league
7 games to go.
It's mad, isn't it?
You can't say enough about them. You cannot say enough about them. I mean, they are without a doubt the luckiest team I've ever seen. Over 39 games, the variation and the amount of different lucky moments that they've had, whether it be a deflected goal that flies in, or like late goals, or like even today the goalkeeper howler, and then 3 disallowed goals, and it's just crazy. But that aside, you still have to go into these 39 games and win them, and they've lost 5 games all season. 2 of them are to us. They've lost 3 games to other teams in this division. It's unreal, and you have to just say fair play. If they take one of them 2 spots, they're going to get no sour grapes from me, because to go from League One with the squad that they've got, they're playing Sam Morsey in centre field. He got relegated with Wigan 3-4 years ago. He's crap. He's crap. Like, they've got Edmondson at centre back who came in today. He's just a nothing centre back. He's a championship centre back. And I look at Broadhead, and I mean, I really rate Connor Chaplin, but he's knocked about for a few years as Connor Chaplin, never done anything. Kiefer Moore, he's a solid centre forward option at this level, but it's unbelievable, mate. I can't say enough about him.
Yeah, somehow they're up there, aren't they? It's just
I can't say enough about him. I think fair play.
Yeah, no, it really is. Leicester, I mean, they've got a tricky one. They are at home, but it's against Norwich. I mean, if I'm Norwich going into that game, you just kind of we just absolutely just try and batter them. How did Leicester play today, by the way? What was the kind of ebb and flow? Because I know they created some good chances. I mean, Vardy's missed a couple of howlers, hasn't he?
Vardy missed 2 real big ones. But the keeper, I mean, my word, go and look at it after the stream. The keeper makes a massive mistake for one of them. gives the ball into the midfielder, trying to build out from the back. The midfielder he's not aware that a player's coming over his shoulder, falls to Vardy, but then the keeper predicts the way that Vardy's going to go and tips it round the post. It's an unbelievable save. How did they play? The two Vardy chances
have lost something. Do they look like they've lost confidence?
100%. 100%. The longer the game went, the more you felt it was coming. It felt like Bristol were going to go on to win the game. Vardy does miss two massive chances, but Dewsbury Hall wasn't at it apart from the one that he laid on for Vardy.
Yeah.
I thought the two wide guys were awful. Mavididi and Fatawu, they did not affect the game at all. Playing crosses too deep, not beating the men. You know, they were not at it. I thought defensively at times they were all over the place. I mean, Hamza Chowdhury's been getting smashed online by Leicester fans for not being too close enough to the lad that ended up scoring the goal. They weren't great, mate. They weren't great. They had moments. The quality shone through in moments.
Yeah.
But overall, I thought Bristol were good value for it, mate. They were good value for the win.
Yeah. Long may it continue.
I think Leicester are in full free fall. I really do. They've won one game in the last 6, and that were against Sunderland, who have been god awful. They won today, did Sunderland, but overall they have been terrible. And from what I've heard, Sunderland were unfortunate not to win that day. So I think they're in a real place at the moment. Leicester, players are not thinking about being there for next season, because regardless of the situation for Leicester, if anything, it probably is better for them as players to stay in the Championship, because it'll make it easy for them to get out of there.
Yeah, as brutal as it is, it's absolutely true, isn't it? It's
absolutely they don't want to be there next season when Leicester start on -10 or -15 points. No chance. No.
God, it's going to be a nightmare for Leicester. I mean, even if they go up, I mean, it's going to be a nightmare, isn't it? Really, they're screwed kind of either way. So it's going to be fascinating to see. Are you watching it again, all the games, and on Monday? Will you have that opportunity Monday as well?
As long as my missus will leave me alone for the day, then I mean, I literally have done nothing today. I mean, I've still been recovering, so I kind of had an excuse. But I'll be getting as much of the games in as I possibly can. I'll try and do something with her over the weekend, so then I get the weekend off, the Monday off. So.
You got to bank it, and you bank that.
You got to bank the goodwill.
Work on it, Jason. Then you get a preview on Monday.
I've loved it today. It's been class just watching all the football. But I think Monday's going to be class. I think I kind of wish we were playing earlier, so we could kind of get ours out of the way. But it is what it is.
I know it's that thing, and waiting all day, and stew on it. But
only have to watch 3 games though. But I might watch Stoke versus Huddersfield as well, because just why not, right? Can enjoy
that bottom end of the table as well. I mean, it's just it's shocking, isn't it? Good stuff. All right. Well, I think we'll leave it there. Anything else you want to cover before we go, Jason?
Let's just keep us heads. I'm just gonna keep saying this. We've taken a point away from home. We shouldn't be all over social media flapping his gums about how terrible Cooper is, and how it's dropped points, and we've bottled it. Like, no, this is not a bottle. This is actually a pretty decent result considering the overall situation. We're still undefeated this year. It's a shame to concede 2 goals from open play today, but I don't really like them. Records and statistics are nice, it doesn't mean anything. And the fact is the circumstances were changed today anyway. It weren't the same centre back pairing. I'm still confident going into Monday. Hull will be fuming after losing against Stoke at home today. I think they'll fly out the traps. I think it'll be a tricky game for us. But again, it's one that we need to navigate. And regardless of the situation, come Monday, there's going to be some more dropped in points because Ipswich and Southampton play each other, and Leicester have got Ipswich to play as well. I think. There's definitely another game between.
I don't think so.
Southampton got Leicester then. I'm sure there's one more game between the 3 of them.
Yeah, Leicester and Southampton. Yeah, isn't that that's like the rearranged game as well?
The one that got called off, maybe.
That could impact it as well, because I mean, just looking at that, Leicester got West Brom on the 20th, Southampton on the 23rd, and then Preston on the 27th. So
they've got serious congestion.
Not going to be nice. That's not going to be That's not going to be great, is it?
Norwich have got Ipswich to play yet before the end of the season. That's a massive game. You know, you look at their running. I've got it here actually, just before we do finish. Give me 1 second.
Was that the one you gave us the other day where they've not beaten Norwich in about 19
They've not beaten Norwich since 2009, home or away.
Yeah.
They've played 15 times in that time, and they've not beaten them once. So this is Ipswich's running, right? So they've got Southampton on Monday, Norwich away the week after. They've got Watford at home, and we've seen what Watford can do. You know, they're capable. They're better than Blackburn, and Blackburn pushed Ipswich all the way today. They've then got Middlesbrough at home. I'd say that will probably bank a Hull away, and then they finish the season with Coventry away. And you're panicking about Coventry. They've got a really tough run in of Ipswich. Really, really tough running. So let's just chill. 1 point is okay. Let's back it up with another home win. There's going to be twists and turns. It's a shame not to win today, but we're not going to win every game between now and the end of the season.
No, absolutely not. Yeah. Absolutely not.
And if we were ever going to drop points in any of them, it were going to be tonight after what's happened this last week.
Absolutely. So. That's the context, isn't it? And that's important too. Good stuff. All right. Well, thank you everyone who commented on stream tonight. If you've not liked the video already, please do. Subscribe to the channel as well for more content on Leeds United and all our teams across West Yorkshire. Myself and Jason will be back Monday night to do it all again. Busy. Hopefully it will be a good result, a positive result for Leeds. It's getting towards the end now, Jason, isn't it? It's all happening, all vital.
Championship rounds, mate. Championship rounds.
Yeah, absolutely. But yes, thank you very much for watching. I've been Stephen Brown. With me has been Jason Booker, and we will see you again on Monday. Thank you for watching.